Alrighty, hello every folks, and good morning. Welcome to a quick little first impressions here for Crystal Project. So this is an RPG made by Andrew Wellman here. And first of all, thank you for providing a preview code to be able to actually review this thing. So what exactly are we looking at here? So the simplest way that I can describe Crystal Project before we even hop into it, because there will be a lot of facets to describe here, is if by any chance you're watching this and you've played a little thing back on the PS3 called 3D Dot Game Heroes, what that game was to Zelda, this game is to Final Fantasy V. So let's go ahead and get into it here. So effectively what this game is kind of an almost non-linear type of experience. You're doing the Final Fantasy V thing of, you make your custom team, you're going and mixing and matching your different people, and you're unlocking different things along the way. However, you can seemingly explore in any direction as much as you will. This is an extremely relaxed kind of RPG, giving off those vibes of, I'm having a really nice, kind of chill time right now, but I know for a fact something around that corner is going to kick my ass. That's more or less the feeling that I keep getting here. But most of the time what you're doing is you're going around, you're re-exploring old areas, and you're looking for places that you can jump to, explore, just kind of looking around like, maybe I could do some weird little circle jumps around these cliffs, maybe to get over here, there's a beach over here. And every time you get to a new zone, you can set it as your new home zone, and you just kind of explore. You make your custom party, and you just explore around. But all of it is done in a very tongue-in-cheek kind of manner, where effectively from start to, well, presumably finish here, most of your party is going to be, well, looking absolutely hilarious, as you'd probably expect, but also a lot of the monster designs are not only creative, but just kind of funny to look at. Like, I think probably the carrot is probably my favorite one. It's just a hostile carrot. Is that going to be over here? Yeah. We get some bunnies, we get a sentient carrot. Like, there's just weird stuff around every corner. It's not really explained or anything. Stuff's just sort of happening, as it were, here. But yeah, nice mix of very... it's a nice mix of taking you by surprise with little funny moments here and there, but also being very mechanically solid. So far, I'm about 6 or so hours into the game. And as of so far, I've found 2 different bosses, found a couple of different classes. Seemingly every time that you beat a boss, you get a new class, and then you find just new stuff to play around with. And yeah, from there you just kind of explore around. The music is very nice to listen to. The fights are fun to go through. Right now I'm just trying to find this, find the dang bunny. Or not the bunnies, the squirrels. Like, there's a lot of little tiny jokes in there that, I just kind of appreciate. Like the fact that every one of the squirrels drops exactly 2 nuts. Yes, is that a little bit of an adolescent joke? Hell yeah it is, and that's exactly what I'm here for. Anyway. And yes, if you're wondering about the team, Deep Plateman, the warrior class starts off with a bunch of red armor. It reminded me of the dragon plate from RuneScape. The Style 9000 was obviously the red mage. Fired Lanar was using the same sprite as the rogue right now. He just looked like a jobless Lanar from Tactics Ogre. And Denab has stayed as a wizard witch kind of situation, where in her case, obviously you have to have the misspelling. I'm sure everyone's misspelled that at least once for Knight of Lotus. Anyway, so, yeah, this is what the warrior originally looked like. And there's a lot of little tongue-in-cheek stuff in the world. Like, right here, this guy is a bit worried about jumping onto trees, but it's perfectly fine. Granted, I apparently hit the wrong button. However, now we can show off this guy. So, we did a favor for him earlier, so now we can use his head to hop up on this cliff. Again, there's just a lot of little funny moments in the world for all this stuff. And you're just exploring around. You're just seeing stuff, And as this guy says, you just remain forever curious. You go back to old areas, you look around, you see what's new, you see what's happening. Maybe you just decide to go fight a random encounter on top of a tree for some reason. There's just bees up here, apparently, so, whatever, we'll just go fight some bees. But yeah, I've been having a really fun time. It's a very relaxed kind of experience. Definitely one of those end-of-the-day relaxer sorts, as it were. Now, I will say, though, there have been interesting mechanics to each of the boss fights that I've run into so far. One of them, admittedly, I was extremely over-leveled for, because I apparently went and tackled them in a weird order, because I completely missed a obvious route early on. But all these areas just repeatedly loop back into each other in interesting ways. Actually, the level design is surprisingly solid. like normally when it comes to more indie titles, typically they're more about the mechanics and references and things, but like, yeah, the map design is really pretty darn legit here. And then every now and then you'll just find a a little bit of a path somewhere else, and it's like, maybe I can go jump on some trees. Okay, didn't quite make that jump. Maybe there's something else over this way. You just find a few signposts, like, oh, there's a hatchery here, but how do you even get to the hatchery? Who knows? I mean, granted, I know because I've been there before, but still, there's a little hidden route to get to there, and now there's another little breadcrumb, like how do I get up to that box? Okay, presumably I get up to this tree, presumably maybe off of this tree, maybe that jump is possible if we do it at the right diagonal, So there's a lot of that. We're just kind of exploring around. There actually was another funny feature I forgot to talk about, which is the fact that it is tuned for lean. Namely, that in situations where you can't see around corners, you can kind of just go back and forth, and if you want to zoom in, you do both. I don't exactly know what this is for outside of seeing funny angles, but either way, I just love that it's there. Alright, sorry. Throat decided to do funny things there. Winter's gonna winter, what can I tell you? Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use our warp stone over here to go right back to this place, which is currently set as our home point. Because as I said earlier, as soon as you get to a new area, you can just kind of explore around, see what's over there, see what you can find. Sometimes you'll find bosses to fight. Sometimes you'll find that you are extremely not ready for the bosses there. But there's a lot of solid design in terms of conveying what exactly you're ready for and what you're not ready for. The colors of the enemies in the field will change depending entirely on what you've kind of been leveled up to that point. As far as combat mechanics goes, standard thing that you'd expect from a Final Fantasy like here. With, for example, we've got effectively a blue mage over there in our scholar. Your warriors are going to be your pretty standard fighting swords. Whenever you go back to one of your home points here, you can go change what everybody's doing. So like our rogue here is going to come with an innate bonus to their crit chance, but they're also going to come with skills that allow them to, for example, hit stuff when they're not the primary threat. There's a fun little threat mechanic to all of this stuff where, like, let's say with the rogue, they can get away with a backstab probably once or twice a fight, but then as soon as the enemy realizes that it's something that they're capable of doing, they probably want to switch to a more support role because they're not falling for that a second time. Actually, one thing I forgot to show earlier, as far as the threat mechanic, it actually does tell you who's what amount of threat to the target in question. So it's a fun little way that they can potentially switch between these two different things, which is why I have them with a bleeding knife over here, on top of having a bunch of kind of defense-dropping moves from the warrior. Or with our scholar here, they were doing pretty good with an axe. However, the main axe that I was using with them, this chopper that I got from a boss, was leaving their defense a little iffy. So I decided, since they're my primary source of regeneration and buffs, debuffs, whatever else, as well as the raising guy, frankly, I put way too much weight on this character. I should probably fix that. But while he's going and learning his monster magic kind of stuff, he can still do the X thing while being relatively tanky at the same time. Additionally, it has a passive system that, while it may have originated in other places, will always, to me, be the Armored Core optional system. Where every every passive that you get will have a certain amount of points associated with it. Like, for example, right here, he can equip an axe as another class, while also regenerating 15% health at the start of every turn. Whereas this guy over here has his pocket sand for inflicting blind on any target that hits him, while also regenerating and stuff like that. He does have the ability to equip an axe as well. However, in his case, his trickery abilities here, like his backstab, only work with a rapier or a dagger. So we're just going to go ahead and leave that toothpick on him. So yeah, lots of customization to the system. This is something that's been pretty regularly changing, and kind of the builds have been going and becoming something new this whole time. It's got a very, very cozy loop. I will say that much. The loop basically consists of just going out, exploring, fighting stuff, either finding progress and or getting your ass whooped. However, every time you die, you're simply warped back, kind of Dark Souls style in that particular way. If you die to a random encounter, how dare you, that's a rookie kind of mistake, and you end up losing some of your money, as if it's Pokemon or something. Ooh, that's my last clamshell that I needed. Nice. Okay, actually, we're just going to go complete the side quest then. Like right here, I've randomly been finding a bunch of clamshells, which this lady over here wanted. So let's see. She likes her useless items, in this case clamshells, bring you 13 clamshells. Would you be kind enough to give them? Would you give me 13 clamshells? Yes. Lost 13 clamshells. I will give you an item which I have no use for. Oh, sweet. We got a map of the area. Okay, cool. So that's pretty handy. What's funny is that you seemingly need to explore nearly this whole area to actually get those clamshells. Anyway, again, there's a lot of very tongue-in-cheek type stuff here going on. Like early on, I don't know if this is true yet. I don't know if this is true, but early on there was a little lady that was going and talking about her doggies, and like, oh, I got my cute little doggies. They need exactly 3 dog bones. And then I walked into, I was falling down that path. I found a few bones, and all of the little decorations around those bones looked fairly similar. However, when I found decorations for what looked like the 3rd bone, I ran into another boss that promptly absolutely eviscerated my entire party with no mercy. So I have a feeling that we have to beat a Giga boss in order to actually get that last dog bone. I don't know for sure, but that's the fun here, You're just going and exploring and finding new things. Finding whether or not you actually can make these kind of like diagonal jumps across stuff. There's a lot of little, very precise platforming to do as well. So it's a really, really chill exploration game. There doesn't seem to be much direct plot, so to speak, here. Which, by the way, as a bit of a funny note, actually, wait a minute. This guy has the same icon as my scholar over there. I think they might be able to actually learn something from this guy. I'm assuming that's what that icon means. Can I select it? Actually, wait. Enemy info. Let's see. Yeah, you do get your enemy info, but at the same time, if you were to go use the scan ability on an unknown ability or an unknown unit, you would learn, for example, the boss's info before you fight them. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can actually learn something from this guy. Did we learn that? Yeah, we learned adrenaline. Okay, fantastic. Now you die, Mr. Doggy. Thank you for your help. You are the goodest boy, but we have no option to run away because I haven't spec'd into that skill. I'm sorry. Have a good night. There we go. As you may have noticed, with your different classes, you actually have multiple different meters going on in fights. So HP is obvious, MP is obvious. However, you actually have a lot of interesting little systems here that counterbalance each other, because you also have an ability system that works. It's basically an adrenaline meter, right? Again, not exactly something unheard of as far as RPGs go, but it's a nice little way to counterbalance needing your MP classes and your other things here. Additionally, enemies will constantly drop items that you'll go and get kind of particular stocks for. So if you're going on longer trips, you might potentially need to, stock up on more things. Actually, what does this do for us? Damage yourself for 250. I don't know if there's any particular use, but I ended up buying the rotten fish from somebody. I don't know if that guy was meant to be the Magikarp salesman or not. Mentally, that's what I'm headcanoning that guy as, but to me, that's what that guy was. Like, here you go, I have this one amazing fish, and he just sells you, the one rotten fish and runs away. I don't know, just something about that whole interaction made me think friggin' like Magikarp from classic Pokemon. Anyway, so like, this is the loop. As you see, we're not being thrown into any world-ending narrative or whatever else. Literally, when they throw you into the world, they're just like, welcome to our tourist destination. You're here to do adventures, I guess. So, yeah, just go nuts. Like, here you go. Here's a hotel. Your first stay is free. Your second stay is free. Your third stay is free. Your fourth stay is free. Quick little segue to go check out that hotel, by the way. But I just wanted to mention, there's not many games that you rhythmically feel inclined to just go hop along with the beat every time you visit an area. It's just so friggin' delightful. But yeah, one thing that I love about this hotel that we're going into right over here is just the fact that you actually can get the recipe for KFC chicken in there. I don't know what it does yet. Maybe it's just a healing item, but it's just funny to me. Additionally, one more funny note that I forgot, well, I guess more mechanical note I didn't mention up to this point, is that for any of these fights, if you're potentially wanting to grind or whatever else, you can actually go and set up macros for all of them, so it's just a good time there. So, for example, if you want to run into an area, have your thief steal, have your mage go in and just delete stuff, you can absolutely just go into their stuff here. hang on, where was it again? We just go over to their abilities, like let's say we wanted her to try and go explode things right from the get-go. We set that as the auto ability. We want this guy to go ahead and try to steal something. We'll just go ahead and set that up. We want this one to, to go ahead and taunt to draw aggro. You can just basically set that up. It's very easy to do. But yeah, you can get the secret recipe chicken here. I found everything except for the secret meat so far. Anyway, alright, back to wherever this was in the video. Dude, I love that hotel. It's the best hotel. Anyway, so yeah, lots of little tongue-in-cheek jokes here and there, and you're just exploring around, just chilling and exploring the world, you know? So it's a good time. There's really not many penalties for loss. You just explore more, you know? As I mentioned before, you lose a little bit of your money if you were to lose to a random encounter, but if, for example, I can walk in this? I was about to show that if you jump in deep enough water, you drown, but apparently you can walk in this. Okay, the more you know. Anyway, so new exploration method unlocked. Let's go ahead and see what we can find, I guess. Which actually now that's an area that is reachable. Okay, cool. But yeah, like that's what we're looking at here. Just like every little corner, there's going to be something else. Maybe if I guess, actually come to think of it, we probably want to jump off that rock. Then we get over there, but well, I mean, it's worth a shot. Okay, whatever. Let's see if we can get over there. I think the jump was somewhere over here. We do some little circly jumps over in this direction. No, it was somewhere from up here, I think. Let's see how we do these jumping puzzles. We opened up this box. Let's see, I think pillar from there. So we'll go here, we'll go pillar. If I stop jumping off like a doofus, of course. Alright, we go over here, we jump over in that direction and try to make that jump. But yeah, the music is very chill. It's a very ambient kind of game. It kind of made me think of, God, what was that one? There was this other PS3 game that you were basically just going around, skating around as this person with a scarf in a desert. I forget the name of it, but again, was giving me vibes of that as well. Okay, so we know that we can make it onto this one. How do we go from there? Like, so far as I've seen, there don't seem to be traversal items, so I'm assuming at some point maybe the tide goes down a little bit in some way? Maybe? I don't know. But we'll go ahead and use our thing here to go ahead and go back home and continue exploring in another direction. So, if this sounds like your kind of jam, this recently came out on Switch as well. There's actually a demo available for both versions, both PC and Switch. But the game itself is like $13 or something, so it's definitely on the cheaper side. Mechanically, it seems pretty solid. So I haven't seen anybody else mention that thing where you occasionally load into a home point and see some white areas. So I'm assuming that's probably a Steam Deck thing. But anyway, what the hell? I have no idea what just happened there. What is your deal? Oh, I must have landed on top of her head. That's what it is. Interesting. Hop on top of her head, try to find the treasure that she's looking for. Again, it's a very forgiving game as far as the platforming. You're mostly here to just like chill out and explore. But when it comes to the combat, it actually does get into some pretty hefty fights. I'm not showing any right now, but a lot of the boss fights have had interesting mechanics. There's multiple that I can access at this point that I currently haven't quite puzzled out yet. So, again, lots to potentially see there. And there's actually a pretty chatty community around this whole thing as well. So you know you might be able to go get some help from there if you ever end up getting stuck. But yeah, that's Crystal Project for you. I assume the name is a joke at so many of the Nintendo projects and stuff like that being called whatever project, you know, like Project Triangle Strategy and whatever else. If I were to guess. But yeah, you're just going around, you're trying to look for crystals and trying to get more classes to basically unlock new areas. As soon as you unlock those new classes, they'll let you through to new zones. You go to those new zones, you explore some more, you re-explore old zones, you suddenly find like enemies that you stood no chance against, that were a few tiles away from where you originally were, and you just explore the world and hang out, you know? The music has been very, very cozy to listen to. What the hell is this thing in a cave? Another man-eater, apparently. go ahead and backstab that guy. He's going to do his Thorns thing. Go ahead and poison it too. Funnily enough, I have a poison dagger that I was originally running that guy with, but I like my my dot attacks, as it were. What does Adrenaline do? Self-only magic, accumulate 10 AP. I would assume that's going to have some useful functions later, but not right now. Anyway. So you got anything to steal? Well, they said they didn't have anything to steal. I don't even know why I tried that. Alright, so let's talk about how the level ups and things work. Actually, that's cool. Again, another solid bit of world design here. Where in this case, I wouldn't have thought to actually look through this cave, but just due to the fact that there was an enemy coming out of there, now I know to actually go explore in this direction. Neat. Anyway, very eerie music all of a sudden as well. So that's fun. What the hell was I going to say? Oh yeah, so learning skills and things. So it uses this kind of system, where effectively you unlock them through certain bits of progression chains through every particular class here. Some of them are going to be very particular, like let's say with the scholar here, again the blue mage kind of situation. They're going to be learning them on account of monsters going and using them in fights, as you do. However, in their case, I mean, I don't really know why you don't want to equip a book yet, but I'm assuming I'll find out later. But they can get their passive ability here. After spending an absolute ton of time with this class. I would assume, more than likely, I probably will have most of this stuff already unlocked before actually getting this 25, but again, that seems to be kind of the intention there. That you would mostly learn everything as the scholar, and then you would come back and, it's like, hey, look, these last few that you want to finish off, you can go do as the cleric or whatever, As I understand, there's apparently a pretty obscene amount of classes in this game, so deal with that as you will. Some of these skills will seem very familiar, like for example, Swallowtail just coming in directly from FFTA. Stuff like your bleed and poison attacks are pretty regulars here. Let's see, Eagle Stance does 25% more crit, 25% more non-crit. This might be really useful if we potentially switch him into a rogue later, because that's what I wanted to keep him as, so that we have that weird Lanar hairdo. And yeah, so that's just kind of generally how these unlocks go. In her case, she's almost maxed out this one, so she's got a few more points to go. Now, your points, interestingly enough, are actually different from your experience. Where your experience will give you one set amount and seems to improve your stats, and then your actual skill unlocks and stuff like that will be coming from a completely different location. So this actually means that in some cases you can go back and fight way earlier monsters to get some of your skills up, but they may not help with your stats as much. Also, I guess that's how we get over here. Interesting. Now, okay, that is a drownable tile. I wonder why we need to go there. Maybe we'll get the ability to swim. I don't know. I haven't seen any actual field traversal abilities yet, so I'm assuming that's maybe not a thing, but I don't know. It seems mostly to be very straightforward about just kind of traveling around like this. But why is the music so eerie here? It feels like there's more here. There's stuff over here. Cool. What's this? More clamshells. On the hunt for rare monsters, somewhere found on the cliffs. Drops an earth mangle. If you find one, bring it to me. I'll make a trade. Okay. Well, neat. We'll see if we find that for that guy. What about this? Dodge charm. Okay, so there's a lot of different accessories for a lot of different things, as you'd probably expect. The dodge charm is, funnily enough, something that I would pretty much immediately use in almost any game, having an almost instant access to a 20% dodge that you can have on at all times. But then when going and looking over their different equipments, like in her case, she needs her MP, considering how MP hungry her class is. We got one here that's dropping increased loot odds, but also dropping. He's got additional strength here. You know what? Actually, no. He's doing poison. We're gonna go ahead and give him that dodge chance. I guess it's actually plus 10, not 10%. So maybe not. I guess actually that plus 4 isn't necessarily helping him much. You know what? Let's see. Take 25. This is a temporary buff. Let's just give you more defense. And okay, this is probably fine. All right. Let's see. Let's go right on back. I think I haven't found any bangles or anything out here. So I'll just go ahead and warp back and see what we find. And this is, again, I know I keep repeating myself, but this is the loop. Like, this is just kind of what you're doing here. So, very, very fun game in that way. If you want to have your main character look a different way, by the way, you can just go ahead and swap them out in the front. If you want to play around with your enemy AI, you can go ahead and run away from your encounters and cause them to fall into, let's say, the water and stuff like that. So, like, for example, in one area, one where I went and decided to just go take on a boss that I assumed was kind of the next thing progress-wise. I ran into this funny thing where I realized that you could essentially dodge them into waterfalls, and the waterfalls would just carry them away. So that was fun. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and temporary sleep bomb this guy. So we can just kind of get him out of the fight for now. Let's go ahead and deal with you real quick. I'm just going to get this plant annihilated. Then we'll go ahead and wake up the wolf and start doing stuff from him so that we can get a hold of this ability that he's got. Sunbath, by the way, is basically White Wind, if you're wondering. Yeah, this looks like it's probably going to be enough damage to take this guy out. There we go. Get our Pocket Sand for his blindness. That Pocket Sand ended up... Oh, shoot. That I didn't mean to... Whoops. Okay, that might have been a little bit overkill. For some reason, I thought it was single target. My bad, Mr. Wolf. He was the goodest boy, and now he is dust. Poor guy. Anyway, carrying on. So it looks like in this case, we have a nice little jumpy puzzle going this way. We go... Oops. Got myself caught on the wall. We'll go this way. We'll go this way. The kind of jumping and landing sounds kind of made me think of Little Big Planet a bunch, which I'm pretty sure was not the intended vibe of the whole thing, but like just the little tappy sounds from the feet. Jewel of Defense. Is that different from... No, that's the same thing we already have. Okay. Actually, let's go over to our abilities here. Let's get some of that sunbath going. Good. Okay. Probably getting a bit much in the MP expense department. You're not one of the wolves we needed. Dang it. That other wolf had information we needed. We need to interrogate the wolf. And yeah, every new class just seems to add a whole new little dimension to your stuff here. Like, technically speaking, now that I think about it, I've got a bunch of DOT moves. One of the bosses that I was running into had a problem in which, technically, I could probably survive its attacks for a little while, but realistically, its healing was, like, it was healing 9,000 plus. I can't come anywhere near doing that kind of damage. However, now that I think about it, with those DOT moves, I would assume they probably end up scaling, so there's a non-zero chance that that might be the way to go about it. And in fact, I gotta say, it's a particularly funny moment to see all of these nice happy vibes, this great happy music and whatever else. Just like all these nice little meadows and fields, and then you just walk into a hut and find a chest with a just digested head in there. Like, it's a very it's got a very particular mood, you know. Anyway, so truth be completely told, given that the exploration, like the weird way that you travel around the world and whatever else is entirely up to you, like, this is one of those games that I don't think that, at least I don't assume anything I said was a spoiler. I hope not. Because, yeah, it's a very fun experience. I would really recommend trying it. If at least go give the demo a shot. Apparently, people have found ways to go out of the way to even go and somehow beat all the bosses in the demo. So, again, it's one of those kinds of things where, you know, the rabid community will do rabid community type of stuff. So, that's Crystal Project for you. Go ahead and give it a look sometime. And yeah, have yourself a nice one. Take care.